Humans have been burning the bodies of the dead for thousands of years, although when the practice specifically began is difficult to say. The practice was introduced in Europe and the Mediterranean region around 1000 BCE by the ancient Greeks. Why did they start doing it? Well, when it comes to war and conquest, burning the bodies of the dead served multiple purposes, not the least of which was clearing the battlefield of rotting corpses quickly and efficiently. More importantly, for many religious people today, the practice of cremation was introduced right around the time many of the historical events in the Old Testament were taking place. So does the Bible actually say anything about cremation, like whether it's a good or a bad idea?
Lucille.
I do have this coupon for a cremation.
Actually, it turns out that while the Bible talks a fair amount about what happens to the body after death, it's rather thin on the topic of cremation. Throughout the Bible, when the narrative refers to what happened to a body after the death of its occupant, the person is almost always buried, or like Jesus, placed into a tomb carved out of the rock, which was in keeping with the custom and culture of Palestinian Jews at the time. In fact, cremation is mentioned directly only once in the Bible, in 1 Samuel 31, where the narrative describes the bodies of Saul and his sons being burned and their bones being buried under a tree. By comparison, the Old and New Testaments together contain around 200 references to burial, entombment, and the like. And of course, one rather important narrative in the New Testament, found in Luke 24, involves Jesus' friends going to his tomb to tend to his body and finding it empty. So does the Bible's near silence on cremation mean that Christians should embrace the practice or avoid it? As is often the case with these doctrinal matters, that depends on whom you ask. Some Christians believe that their physical bodies will be resurrected from the dead at some point in the future, and as such will require an intact, i.e. not cremated, body. Though of course, since bodies decay after being buried, some would argue that this is a logical fallacy, and there's nothing actually in the Bible that says you shouldn't cremate someone. Theologian John MacArthur told Christianity.com, "The scriptures do not say anything about required modes of burial for believers." So if Christians are pretty much left to themselves to decide if cremation is right for them according to their personal or doctrinal traditions, what about Jews? You know, the people that wrote the Bible. As it turns out, Judaism has put a lot more thought into this than Christianity, with the result that there's far less ambiguity. Under Jewish tradition, cremation, generally speaking, is a no-go. Cremation company Neptune Society notes that for thousands of years, Jewish tradition held that the only acceptable means of disposing of a body was burial in the ground for a variety of reasons. Perhaps most importantly, cremation was seen as a pagan practice and, as such, one that Jews should avoid, as they sought to remove themselves from those types of funerary procedures. Also, cremation does not fulfill the Jewish religious obligation of burial. More recently, the painful memories of the Holocaust and the way the Nazis disposed of the bodies of the Jews create a negative association with cremation in the minds of some modern Jews. According to MyJewishLearning.com, for most Orthodox and conservative Jews, cremation is off the table, while Reform Jews, who are generally more liberal in their beliefs and interpretation of doctrine, don't believe that it's necessarily sinful, but that it should be discouraged. Orthodox and conservative rabbis may even discourage families from fulfilling the deceased's wishes that they be cremated, as they feel the person will understand the need for a traditional burial once they have departed. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more grunge videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.